Come on, guys. When are you going to give me a break? I set up the team pretty well, hold you all this time, and you just get 14. 14, Alvaro. Your worst score of the season when I really need you most. This is standard. This is how it goes, right? Obviously, come on, get a couple minutes into the game and get a concussed. Thank God he came back on and obviously picked me up another. I think he was on 0 with that missed tackle when he got hit in the head. So to get 14, good on you, mate. You got more than a Sarko. Good on you. All right, let's go back to the real scores of this game. Dragons and Broncos for your Thursday night. The first one of the bye round, and actually wasn't that fun for me because this was a game where a lot of people had a bunch of selections and a lot of cheap guys that actually did really well. Ben Hunt was also a big topic of the week. A lot of people were thinking about picking him up, and then he comes out and is kind of scoring fairly low through the game and then picks up a nice try through some terrible defense in this game. 76 points. So really, if you had plays in this game, especially some attacking ones, they were going to score well. And Hunt did that and then got a nice a line break and try assist as well to finish off the game and get 68. So a score that we can sometimes expect him to score. He's been doing it fairly regularly this year. So to do it again is completely fair enough. But this one is one we did not expect. And Albert Kelly, I did bring him in the alternates, which was solid. I have him and Gamble in there, so we'll take that. But Albert Kelly's 3 tries this early in the game, 33 tackles for 2 misses was incredible. For him to score that high in a team that got smashed is really, really good. So if you picked up Kelly, he's going to make plenty of cash now, and now a 3-game average of 49. So he'll be up at 360, 370 after this week, which would be really good if you decide to pick him up. And if you didn't, it's too late to now. This was the time to get him at 301k. So well done to Kelly and all his owners there. Pango Jr. with 60 this week. A really solid score. Happy with the output there. 28 tackles, 4 tackle breaks, 2 offloads, and a turnover tackle. And no puts on report. So well done to TPJ, who's tackling well. Who would have thought, hey? TC Rabadi came on and played really well. Played 46 minutes in his time on the park. 2 tries in that time and 1 sin bin in the same time. So was doing really well and lost a few points with that. But in the grand scheme of things, you're happy with him. And I don't think many people would have picked him up. What is his ownership? 0.9%. So not too many people picked him up. He won't be playing too many games, you'd imagine. But it is the Broncos and anything could happen because they're a team that's really, really struggling. So that's that there. Jackson Ford, another one of those guys that's had 3 really high scores in a row and has a nice average now of 44.8 in the games that he actually gets to jump on the park. He also has a few games where he's played only a couple of minutes. So yeah, really good for him and playing big minutes and scoring well these last 3 games. So if you picked him up in that last 3-week period, he's going to do well. I am still worried about his long-term minutes, for example, but and his position on in through the middle there. Is he going to keep getting that? And that's probably why I held off on him. I had a bunch of questions on him, but I just think at 439k is just too dangerous to pick up in your squad this week. Someone I did pick up was Jack Bird, and obviously picked up a try. Got a nice line break assist, which probably should have been a try assist as well, but we'll take that. 31 tackles for 4 misses, 131 meters, with no real attacking stats other than that. Didn't even have many tackle breaks and only 1 offload. So 1 tackle break, 1 offload. Did kick a nice goal at the end to get him an extra couple of points, but him on the him in the second row just gives him a few extra tackles. I think in terms of meters gained, it probably doesn't change too much. He ran the ball hard at the line, just didn't get as many breaks as he might have, tackle breaks as he might have thought from someone running those hard lines. But I was really happy to see him and his output on there, and to get him at 508k for a guy hitting 53, you take that every day of the week. So well done to Bird and anyone who owns him and who picked him up this week like I did. Cory Norman with 52, you will take that if you own him. He actually had a pretty solid game. Only 1 try assist, but just controlled the game well and obviously smashed the Broncos there, but that isn't too hard to do at the moment. Josh Kerr with a try and a line break for 52, not too fantasy relevant. Jake Turpin, a few people asked me if they would pick him up this week, and I just couldn't do it to myself to pick him back up after everything that's happened with him and him being up over in the 600k mark and then now back down, losing pretty much all the gains that he ended up making for us. But yeah, there he is with 51 points and a couple of turnover tackles. So well done to him. If you own him, Lodge was 61 minutes, which was crazy. So without Payne Haas, obviously, someone had to step up, and Lodgy was the man for that. And 51 points will suffice. So yeah, he turns out he was probably a pretty decent option at the start of the year. He just didn't get to fulfill his scoring and his potential there. And sitting at an average of 40.6 for that year, including that first game where he only got, 10 points or so. I think he's done really well. And if you still own him, you'll ride these scores and his price bumps over the next few weeks before probably moving him on in 17. So that's that. There we go. Tyson Gamble and had a nice solid game again. So the question's going to be, is him and Kelly going to keep their spots? And you'd imagine they would. They didn't. I wouldn't say they were the ones that had the bad games. I think him and Kelly played solidly. Their defense was just absolutely terrible. From both sides of the game, really. The Dragons didn't defend too well either, but I suppose, both teams are missing some players and whatever. That's a slight excuse, but really in the grand scheme of things, they just weren't good enough. So I imagine Gamble and Kelly keep their spots, and they've both got some cash to make over the next few weeks, which will be good. So Kelly a little bit more than Gamble, but both still doing well for anyone's team. Flegler also got some bigger minutes, so 57 minutes this week for a score of 45, and you take that if you picked him up. He's still down 117k, so any owners would like a few more scores in the 40s to get him closer to making back that cash. Obviously, people picked him up once he'd lost all that money rather than, at the start of the year. So you take any of these scores from now. McCulloch with 43, you're not really too happy with at this stage. There was some talk about him getting a try assist again, but wasn't to be. 43 tackles, 43 points basically is, with a couple of misses there. Kind of annoying. Just he went back to his best scores again when he gets to 80 minutes, and then moves back into a 40 odd again. And he's starting to become a little bit up and down, which he wasn't at all at the start of the season. And a few people thought he could maybe be a captaincy option this week, and unfortunately he didn't deliver. I think a bunch of people would have selected Hunt as captain. That obviously worked out a lot better than what McCulloch would be. But again, in a team where there's 76 points on the board, to get 43 tackles still is decent. And he's not the attacker. Literally his job is to tackle and give early service out of dummy half. So that's McCulloch there. Gerard Beale should lose his spot, guys. So just stop thinking too much about Beale. He is scoring well at the moment in the couple of games that he's played, but he will lose his spot to Lomax for sure. So when Lomax comes back, who's the other centre? Oh, Bird. So when Bird comes back, it'll be Lomax and Bird. So Beale and Williami will lose their spots. He scored a nice try as well. Literally any outside back scored and scored half a decent score. Ramsey there, Ravalawa. He is so strong. It's incredible what he can do when he just like one-on-one and just hits the defense and doesn't really budge and keeps his, if his body's slightly going out, he'll still able to get the ball down. So well done to him. Palaszczuk with a low score off the bench. I suppose it's not terrible if you still own him. He picked up a 24, and you won't lose any money, but you won't be gaining too much for you. Herbie as our possible keeper. Just again, what happens when you're put in a really strong, in a weak team, when you're a decent player. And he did move back to fullback, but they just got smashed, so he didn't get much chance to even do much with the ball in that second half, which was annoying. So that's that there. DeBellin with a solid return. He looked okay. He's gonna lose bulk cash over the next bunch of weeks, and probably won't be an option for the whole year, and maybe next year could come in at a pretty cheap price. So I think we were thinking about him for that rather than later in this year. That's for sure. David Mead just doing his thing. Still, for all those people that told me he was a gun, we had to make so much money off him. No, we don't. Yeah, Alvaro again. He's going to have to moved on. He's going to have to be moved on in the next bunch of weeks. Otherwise, he'll start losing all that cash that he picked us up. So Alvaro for one of the guys that. It could be a decent little cash cow in 14 or 15. Let's see if any of those pop up leading into round 17, or maybe there's a cash out option that comes up in the next few weeks. But yeah, he's going to start to lose us some cash, and it'll be time to move him on after not performing for us when we really needed him. And then Jordan Ricky was 18th man, so you've got him as the 0. Didn't get to play. I don't know why they put the 18th man there. Cobbo, a few people talked about as possible option. Just didn't get to do too much. Obviously, when they got smashed and he was on the wing, so didn't really get to show too much of his skills. A couple of tackle breaks, but that's about all. So yeah, all these guys, a lot of people talking about that Marzu coming into the Titans side, and with him, it's going to be the question of, are Titans going to get spanked? And if they do, he probably doesn't get much of an opportunity to do anything either. So just be aware of these young rookies coming on, and they're probably going to play one game and not do too much. So don't get too excited about their output going forward. So there's that there, and then the last one is just a Sarko with 8, and for the unfortunate people that decide to keep him until round 13, you now have to move him pronto because he's going to start losing cash. So that's that. That's that, guys, with the first game of the round. We'll get into just a short update on each of the games for this round, and obviously, the swings and roundabouts are going to happen with the people's ranks over this next bunch of games. I had 2 players this game with Bird and Alvaro, and I think I'd doubled my ranking from like 1400 to 20. Yeah, pretty almost doubled 2400. I think I am after this first game. So that's that there. Hope you enjoyed this. Please do like and subscribe if you are, guys. Really appreciate that. We did get to 3K subscribers. I thank you so much for all your support, and we'll catch you in the next one, team. Have a good day.